Hey everybody, this is Dorian with New Minds. We're doing the 3 p.m. STEAM Train 3 through 5 STEAM lesson. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be explorers. Explorers of all sorts of different places. But sometimes explorers, they have to go places for a really long time, and they can't go out and around them because there's nothing there to help them. They have to bring everything that they need with them in a tool belt. This could be going to Antarctica and going on long expeditions where they'll have to live in very small bunkers. Maybe they're an underwater explorer. They're going to live in submarines for months or even weeks. Sometimes you're going to have to explore places that are hard to get to, like the middle of the desert or the middle of the rainforest. But you're going to want to bring everything with you. So today we're going to make a tool belt that will help us. So as we get around in our own little environment we explore, which could be our house, which could be our neighborhood, we're going to make a tool belt with all the things that we want to bring with us and go on our adventure. Some of the supplies we're going to use today are going to be scissors. We're going to use glue sticks. I'm going to use construction paper for my belt, whatever colors you would like. And I'm going to use some Sharpies or markers or color pencils, anything I want to decorate my belt. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out how we want to wear it. There's all sorts of ways you could have a tool belt. You can have it like a big sash that goes across. You can have it where your actual belt is. Or you can have one around your head like a headband. And that's the kind I'm going to make today because it's going to stay on because of my poofy hair. The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need to get a big piece of paper. But this can't wrap all the way around. It sits too small. So we're going to have to turn it into some strips. So the first step you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half down the middle. Just like this. And fold it in half the same way another time. When you combine these, you're going to have a paper that's folded into 4 pieces. You can kind of see the lines. There's 4 separate parts. We're going to cut on these lines to make our long strips to start our belt. As you're cutting, think about what you want your belt to look like. What people in the real world or in the fake world, like TV shows or anything like that, has a tool belt that they bring with them. Superheroes have all sorts of tool belts, depending on what they do. If someone is Batman, he's going to have all of his gadgets with him. If they are the Flash, they're going to have something different. They're not going to need the same things. If they are a construction worker, like Bob the Builder, they're going to have their own set of tools. Even Dora almost has a tool belt of her own, except hers is a backpack, but that's almost the same idea. You carry everything you need with you for the whole day. Also, hi Jacob, good to see you. Once you have your 4 strips cut apart, you'll have a really good start to your tool belt. What we're going to do is we're going to connect these pieces, just overlap them a little bit and glue them together. This is going to help you make your belt so you can make it big enough to wrap around you. I'm probably going to need 2 if I'm only going around my head. I can kind of check. I might need 3 because I do have a big head. Or if you want to go around your body, you might need 4 pieces and it'll work really well. Or if you're going around your belt, you may only need 2. You may only need 4. So I'm going to start gluing mine together. You can start to see how your belt's going to come together. The next step we're going to do is we're going to add all sorts of pouches to put different supplies on our belt. Mine, I want to hold a Sharpie, I want to hold some sticky notes, and I want to hold my kazoo. But the first thing we're going to do is make sure we tape them together. We're going to glue these together. This is our first step. You can use tape. You can use whatever supplies you'd like. You can even use a stapler at home. This is your house. You do get to use supplies. Just make sure you ask your parents what you use. So this is the first part of my belt. And I'm going to say I'm going to go underwater for a while. And I'm going to write down all the different types of animals and plants I see. So I'm going to need something to take notes. I'm going to need something to see in the dark. I might need a light attached to my belt. I'm going to need all sorts of things to carry me on my adventure. Because once you go underwater, you can't come right back up. You have to stay down there for a while so you get used to the pressure. Once you've glued all your pieces together, you're going to have one really long strip. And the last step is you're going to connect them together in a circle. So take your two end pieces, connect them, and you're going to glue them right together, and you'll have the start of your tool belt. Now, the very first thing you need is you need your belt buckle. This is the coolest piece of decoration because it's unique to you. Batman has a bat symbol on his belt buckle. The Flash has a lightning bolt. Mermaid Martin and Barnacle Boy, they have seashells. All of these different belt buckles are unique to you. So I'm going to draw mine. I'm going to draw my hair on it because it's pretty easy to see. And that's going to be the center of my belt. I'm going to draw a nice little picture of myself so we know whose belt it is. Put a nice outline around it so that everyone knows it's the buckle. And now I have the start to my Explorer belt. You can see there's me, and this is going to be my belt buckle. If you want to make something that can hold a marker or a pencil, I'll show you how you can do that. All you need is a little thin strip of paper that's kind of long. So kind of cut a thin strip. It is kind of long. You'll just have a little piece like this. It needs to be much longer than what you want to hold. The next step is you're going to lay it down flat on your belt. You're going to wrap it over what you want to hold, and then you're going to glue down the sides. So I have this Sharpie I want to hold. I'm going to glue down the side so I have a bump in it. It almost looks like a little speed bump or a road bump that's as big as a Sharpie. So that way it will hold on to it. I'm going to put my Sharpie in as I glue it just to make sure it's the right size. And I'm going to glue one side down. Make sure it's in the right place. And I'm going to glue the other side down. Make sure it's in the right place. And then I have my first tool on my tool belt. I'm going to have a Sharpie. And once you let go, you'll have a nice loop for your tool belt. So whenever I put mine on, I'm going to wear mine over my shoulder. I can hold a Sharpie in here. And if it breaks, that's okay. You can always glue it back together. I'm going to glue mine with a little bit of better piece of glue. Make sure when you're working with glue, you give it a little bit of time to let it dry. Don't immediately move it or it'll break like mine did. I didn't wait long enough. So you just have to be a little patient sometimes. You want to think very carefully about what you're going to put on your tool belt. Once your belt is out of space, you can't add anything else. So you want tools that you can use for a whole bunch of stuff. I may use this Sharpie for drawing, but I may also use it for measuring. I know how long this Sharpie is. It is exactly 5 inches. So if I want to measure, I can use this Sharpie as a ruler. I can say something is 5 inches. I can keep track and say it's 10 inches, 15 inches. So every tool can have more than one use. If something is a hammer, it's not just to hit things in. Sometimes you use a hammer to pull things apart. Sometimes you use it to hold things in place. You can even use a hammer as a doorstop. All sorts of different tools have different ways you can use them. So now my loop is finished, I can test it out and put my Sharpie in and make sure it doesn't fall at the bottom. There you go. I have the first step on my tool belt. Hello. Hi, Anya. The next step is I want to make a pocket for something like my kazoo. It has a little bump on it, so I could make another loop, but I want to do something fancy because I really like this kazoo. It's my favorite instrument to play, so I want to make sure it stays nice and safe. So the first step to making a pocket is figure out how big you need it to be. So I'm going to hold my kazoo up, and I want one kazoo on either side. So this is about one kazoo, about one kazoo, and I'm going to cut a big pocket for it. So I'm going to need a really big rectangle. And this is the start of my pocket. It's going to be slightly bigger than my kazoo. The next step is I'm going to fold the sides. Once I fold the sides, hello Jacob, I'm going to see that my kazoo fits in here nice and snug, and that's exactly what I want. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the back over. So now my kazoo pocket is ready to go on my belt. So when I look at the back, it's going to be open a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to tape it to the belt. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it on my belt as my next tool. I made this one in green so you can see the difference in color. I'm going to go ahead and start to glue it on and make sure to let my glue dry. I don't want to be too fast. I want to be a little bit patient. Now that I have, hello Gabriella. And now I have a big pocket for my kazoo. So I have two tools on my belt now. I can have my Sharpie in here whenever I want to need it. And I have my kazoo ready to go whenever I need it. And I can keep adding things to my belt to add different things of what you need. My kazoo fell out, so I need to glue this a little bit better. But now I have my belt buckle, I have a Sharpie on one side, my kazoo on the other side, but I want to fill out this part of my belt. And I think I'm going to keep my sticky notes in there. I like to use sticky notes for all sorts of things. I keep track of my meetings, I use it to write down my classes. They're a really helpful tool, so I think I want to put them on my belt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of, so my sticky notes can open like this. So I'm going to put a little slip of paper in between my sticky notes and my belt, so that way they just hang on my belt and I can peel one off whenever I want to. Keep in mind, your belt doesn't have to be just a belt about you. You can make your own superhero belt and then fight some imaginary crime. You can make your own construction belt. Maybe you have some projects to fix around the house. Maybe help your parents with chores. It could be your chore belt. But it can help you complete the task you need to do. We can't see what you're doing, but you can feel free to share pictures with us afterward. And then we will see what you made afterward. Just make sure to tag New Minds, and we'll see what your project looks like. So I made one long strip that's bigger than my sticky notes. So I know my sticky notes are going to fit, and I have two little spots to glue on. If I glued on the whole thing, I couldn't put my sticky notes behind there. So make sure that somewhere you can grab, and it's big enough for you to grab, then it's big enough for you to glue. So I'm going to glue down my two edges. Make it look really pretty. I'm going to line it up on the other side so my belt's nice and symmetrical. It doesn't have to be. That's how I'm making it. That's one side glued down. And there's the other side glued down. So I'm going to let this dry for a second. Let it stick on nice and tight. Sometimes you just want to pinch it for a little bit, make sure it sticks. Glue does get a little tricky sometimes. And make sure as you're working, you clean up mess when you're done with it. Because you don't want to finish your project and then have a whole bunch of things to clean up. The whole point of your tool belt is to help you. If you made a big mess, it's not very helpful. Now it looks like my tool belt is almost ready. So I'm going to go ahead and put my sticky notes on here and see if they fit. Just going to slide it into the pocket I made. And there we go. My sticky notes are on my belt. So now when I wear my belt, I can see my face so everyone knows whose belt it is. No one accidentally takes my belt. I have my sticky notes. I can peel one off whenever I need it. I'm going to have my Sharpies in here. And I'm going to have my kazoo. So I have a full belt full of all sorts of supplies. You can wear this around your head. You can have like a headband belt, like the card hats that have lights on them. You can have this go around your actual belt. You can wear it like a sash. I'm going to wear mine like a sash. I'm going to take the tools out so I don't actually hit myself in the nose with them. I'm going to put it on. Make sure it's nice and straight. Now I have my tool belt with all of my tools on it, and it looks wonderful. The next step, once you've built your tool belt, is we're going to play a little bit of a game. I'm going to set this to the side while you're working. But if you want to play a game with me, it's really easy. You need 3 things. Well, actually, you only need 1 thing. You're going to cut into 3 things. You're going to take your paper, any piece of paper will work, and you're just going to make 3 little squares. If you've been in one of my classes, you may have played this game before, but it's a really fun game that you can play with your parents, your siblings, or anybody, and it's really simple to do. All you need is 3 things. 3 blank pieces of paper. You're going to write number 1 on the first one, number 2 on the second one, and number 3 on the third one. So I'm going to write those down now. They're going to show up backwards for you guys, but I do know how to write my numbers the right way sometimes, so we'll see. So I have number 1, number 2, and number 3. When you have these, then you'll be ready to play the game. I'll give everyone a couple seconds to get theirs ready, but you're going to want a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3. This is a really fun game because you can play with anybody, no matter how old they are or how young they are. And you can make it easier or harder, and everyone will be able to follow along. That should have been enough time. They're going to look backwards for you guys because the camera flips it around, but they are forward, I promise. So what you're going to want to do with these cards is you're going to make a tower. 1 goes on top, so I'm going to put it at the top of my desk, right there where you can see it. I'm going to put 2 under it, and then 3 on the very bottom. We're going to play around with me, and then you can take this game and play it with a friend and see how you do. This is the rearranging game. I'm going to give some directions, and you're going to have to rearrange your pieces. So if I say move number 2 to the top, you're going to take it, and you're going to slide it up on top of number 1. If I say move number 1 to the bottom, you're going to mix it all the way to the bottom. And see what you can do, and see if you can keep up with the direction giver. How to make sure that the person is doing the right thing is the other person who's giving directions is going to have a little wall up. Let's say I have this green piece of paper. I'm going to move it with you as I say it. So if I say move 2 to the bottom, I'm going to move it to the bottom. So that way I know what yours should look like. And then at the very end, I'm going to lift mine up and see if yours is the same as mine. When you're ready to play, put number 1 on top, number 2 in the middle, and number 3 on the bottom, and then we will start. I'm going to get something little so I can make a wall, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to use my tool belt for even more than just being a tool belt. So now you guys can't see my cards. If everyone's ready, I'm going to go ahead and start. So you should have number 1 on top, number 2 in the middle, number 3 on the bottom. The first step is move number 2 to the top. So I'm going to shuffle it, make sure you guys can follow along. Move number 3 to the top. Move number 2 to the bottom. Move number 1 on top. Move number 3 to the bottom. Switch the places of number 1 and number 3. Now you'll notice as I'm reading them, I'm doing it too. So that way if I'm giving directions to my sibling, my friend, or my parent, they can make sure that they're doing it right, and I can see what theirs is supposed to look like. I'm going to put number 2 on the bottom. I'm going to put number 1 on top. I'm going to put number 3 on the bottom. And I'm all done. So when you say done, you're going to have them tell you the order that they have. Let's say they have 1 on top, 2 on the bottom, 2 in the middle, 3 on the bottom. I'm going to lift up my screen and say, good job, you did it. I have 1, 2, 3. Or it's like, not quite. Let's see if we can try again. And the fun thing is, there's no one way to play this game. You can make it different every single time. So we're going to do one hard round, and that will be our steam time for today. So we're arranging them so it's 1 on top, 2 on the bottom, 2 in the middle, 3 on the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and start. Put number 3 on top, put number 1 on the bottom, put number 2 on top, put number 3 on the bottom, put number 1 on the bottom, switch 1 and 2, put 3 on the top, put 1 on the bottom, put 2 on top, and put 3 on the bottom. So now we use our physical skills, we made a belt, and we have all our supplies, and we practiced our brain skills. But you probably want to know what the answer of the game was, and you should end up with number 2 on top, number 1 in the middle, and number 3 on the bottom. So that's 2 really fun activities you can do. And if you have more time, you can add all sorts of things to your belt. You can add flashlights, you can add whistles, you can add a clip. You can sew your belt if you know how to sew and your parents know how. You can ask them for help. You can make a sewed belt. You can even make all sorts of different things, like you can hold a water bottle. If you make them really strong, you can hold all sorts of things. It's your belt. It can be whatever you'd like it to be. So you can take your time. You can make it out of paper. You can use your own supplies, make it fabric. You can make it out of old magazines too. They'll work really well. But see what you can do and then show us pictures of your belt on the New Minds Facebook page. This was the STEAM train for 3 to 5. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.